Hi, welcome to the Freeman Conversations. I'm Jobert Ocao, the online editor of the Freeman. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have a very interesting topic. As last week, the President of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte, signed into law the Philippine Mental Health Law. And this law was passed on the premise that every Filipino, it is the basic right of every Filipino to mental health, as well as the fundamental right of the people who require mental health services. And today in the panel, we have Dr. Cheryl Muli, a member of the faculty of the Psychology Department of the University of San Carlos and one of the founders of Kauban. This is a support group to those who need help or suffering from mental health or battling mental health. Also from Kauban, we have Mr. Jose Camahalan Jr. and Ms. Rhea Taneo. Rhea is student at the University of San Carlos who is pursuing her master's degree in psychology and is volunteering in the Kauban program. And to my left, our attorney Charis Pyramide, who will be helping us thresh out the legalese in the new law, as well as Leah Lim Atienza. She is a book author and a former journalist. She recently launched her book, Look to the Sky, and this is a book that's very special to her because this helped her battle her episodes on mental health. And we'll be discussing her book later on and her experience with mental health. Okay, Cheryl, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to the program, to the Freeman Conversations.
Nice to be back.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. And last year we just talked about the first time we came here was last year.
The first time we came here, we talked about mental health and the launching of Kauban.
Correct,
It wasn't launched yet, but now it is fully launched, and I have here with me a respondent of Kauban, Sir Joe, and I'm happy to say that it's growing. And to date, we have more or less 150 respondents.
Very good. It's very nice to hear. Yes, you have not officially launched it when you came here last year. I remember you were not a doctor yet last year. Because I was pressing you, can I call you a doctor now? And then you said not yet. So now I can officially call you Dr.
Okay.
All right. Kauban, of course, we have volunteers, a volunteer here of Kauban. And how is it going? One of the reasons why we invited Cheryl over was to make kumusta.
Yeah.
How is the group doing now? Considering
as I'm saying, it's growing, and we are very lucky that the University of San Carlos supported the cause. They provided us venue, the facility, and then everything that we need. Especially during meetings, we also are provided with snacks. Yeah, that's very important.
That's true.
Well, I am surprised because a lot of people come in from different walks of life. I was sharing a while ago that the age range, the lowest age who were with us was 14 years old up to 63 years old.
Okay.
And then they were all professional students, and most of them are working. And then they really find time to come every Friday to be with us and journey with the group. And it is amazing to note that even as far as Alcantara, somebody came last Friday from Alcantara and seeking the help of the group. And we all welcome it because it is open for public. And most of them were saying that they're lucky to have the group because of the misconceptions of what they're going through. Usually they are misunderstood, and they find Kauban as a safe haven where they can express themselves without the fear of being judged.
For the benefit of the public, can you please tell us what goes on in your sessions in Kauban?
The regular session would be, because our approach is psychoeducation, so we give lecturette. So the initial session would be orientation of what the group is, and then we give lecturette of the different issues like depression, anxiety, suicide. We also give some techniques on how to handle the symptoms, and then after that we do group processing. So after each lecturette we do group processing where they can express, and then they can share their stories, and then they also share what are the copings that are useful for them, and others also. Like that. So that goes on every Friday. And another session, there's also another type of session wherein there's no lecture, only group processing. So they are given the whole time to just share themselves and then talk to each other. And then there's also a type of session where there's only lecture, there's no processing, especially if we invited some speakers, some psychologists who can really give a very comprehensive input regarding mental disorders such as depression and anxiety. And last time we also had discussion about substance abuse.
Right, and that's an interesting point to make because
Yeah.
the new law actually has a special mention on substance abuse. Attorney Therese will be sharing her thoughts on that later on. But more on Kauban, do they get to pay for this? Do they have to
No,
pay
it's
for this?
free.
Okay.
So it's open for public and it's free and it's being run by volunteers also. So we are not
Like
also
Rhea
paying.
here.
Like
Okay,
Rhea.
yeah.
Yeah, I really feel so lucky to have people such as Rhea and then other volunteers who really dedicate their services for free as well.
Do you have volunteers outside of San Carlos?
Outside of San Carlos, we have from other schools, but they rarely come. They are only for awareness and for giving of talks.
Correct, yeah. Okay, that's very good news. Very nice update. We'll talk
Thank
more about Kauban later on. We'd like to ask, oh, by the way, we'd like to ask you the new law. We passed it last week. This is very good news to all of us. Finally, the government is taking action, acknowledging that mental health is a serious issue that needs to be addressed. And now we have a law in place. Although I think they are still, according to Grace, they're still working on the IRR, the implementing rules and regulations. Attorney Therese, what did you think? What do you think of this one? This is Republic Act 11036. This is an act establishing a national mental health policy for the purpose of enhancing the delivery of integrated mental health services, promoting and protecting the rights of persons utilizing psychiatric, neurologic, and psychosocial health services, appropriating funds for these initiatives and for other purposes. But before we go to you, I'd like to ask Dr. Cheryl, because I asked you earlier.
Maybe you can answer.
For the benefit of those watching, because I think you're the best person
the
to.
psychiatric, neurologic, and psycho.
What's the difference
The
between
difference when we talk about
psychiatric, neurologic, and psychological?
Psychiatric, it pertains to mental concerns. When you say neurologic, this is about nervous system and the concerns of it. And psychosocial is how a person relates to her environment.
Okay.
So the way a person deals with stress and the interpersonal relationship and intrapersonal relationship.
So those are three important components that the law needs to highlight. Attorney Therese, what are your thoughts on this new piece of legislation?
By the way, hello. This piece of legislation is already available. You can just Google it online. You can read it if you want to know more about the law. But thank you for that question, Joe Berth. Prior to the enactment of this law, which is the shortcut of it is Mental Health Act. Prior to this, the only law that we can get to as far as the protection of those who we can say have mental disability or mental impairment, quote unquote, is the Magna Carta for disabled persons.
Okay.
And this is 1991 easily. And when you look at the definitions of some terms like impairment or disability, well, the law Magna Carta for disabled persons, that's RA 7277, it defines impairment as the loss or impairment of psychological, anatomical functions of the person. So, in that law, disability can mean physical and even mental disability. So, as far as protecting the rights of those who have quote unquote mental disability or mental impairment, you only have that piece of legislation. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if the term mental disability is commonly used in this day and age. It's not.
It's not.
A good friend of mine, she said that if you shift the diction, you shift your perspective. I'd like to use her term, if you shift your perspective, you shift your diction. And in this piece of legislation, in the new Mental Health Act, it's really shifting the perspective. So the state the state is really looking or focusing on the rights of every person.
Mm.
World Health Organization would say that there is no health without mental health.
Okay.
And that is really important. Imagine if there is somebody who comes up to you, or somebody you know, and society would tell them, hey, this person has quote unquote mental illness or mental disability. That immediately attaches the social stigma.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And this piece of legislation that we have, it uses the term mental health.
Mm.
If you Google it, there's actually a difference between the terms mental health and mental illness.
Yeah.
And for this, it's really tackling mental health of everybody.
Mm.
When you go to mental health, and the definition of it is
Yeah.
the well-being of the person, the
Of the
entirety of the person. It doesn't mean without mental illness,
Yeah.
mental disability.
That's
It's
true.
actually looking at his thoughts, his emotions, his decision-making processes,
Mm.
how he comprehends, understands the world that he is reacting or relating with.
Yeah.
So,
Item J
mhm.
on the definition of terms
Alright.
in the new law
Yes, yes,
refers to mental health as the state of well-being in which the individual realizes one's own abilities and potentials, copes adequately with the normal stresses of life,
Yes.
displays resilience in the face of extreme life events, works productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a positive contribution to the community.
So it's not without mental disability or mental illness or sickness. It's taking the entirety of the person.
Mm.
So when you use mental health, it's really focusing. Well, everybody has mental health, whether you admit it or not. We
Yeah.
all have mental health.
I think the difference is the condition of our
Yes.
mental health.
It's taking away the stigma of the term mental illness
Yeah.
and really focusing on the right of everybody to have the promotion of mental health. And
Mhm.
this piece of legislation is trying to do that.
And the Magna Carta for disabled persons, you think isn't enough to
I
address?
believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, and this new mental health law, if you read through it, this does not only protect the rights of those who may be suffering from mental health, but
And they
also
actually call it service users.
yes, correct,
I
the
like
service
the term
users,
that they use.
service users, but the other people involved
Yes.
in the process, like
Sure.
family
The
members, the
Yes.
community, and everyone
The
else.
LGUs,
Yes.
the barangay health workers,
Correct.
and other national government agencies
Mhm.
involved.
Leah, your thoughts on this first
Um,
before you go to your book.
Before when I looked at it, the thing that I really noticed is that it provides, the one that you mentioned, it provides services to the family members or the carers of people with mental health illnesses. That is very important because I cannot speak for others, but I can speak for myself. I know that my husband must be going through a hard time
Mm.
coping with everything that I go through because he's the one who's supporting me through all this, and
Mm.
he's the one who's had to cope with my all of my moods.
Mm.
Yeah, the shift of my moods. Like I'm okay 1 second, I'm not okay the next.
But I think that's what marriage is supposed to be, right?
I think this marriage is supposed to be a group effort or a partnership, but when it comes to being the husband of somebody who has depression or anxiety,
Mm.
it's possibly the ratio or the percentage of the responsibility will weigh heavily more
Mm.
on the husband.
It's a different challenge.
Yeah, it's a different
Okay.
challenge for him. So it's also very important that their health or their own mental health is also taken care of.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's just my payback to him. Back to when I saw this, I said, this is good because this will also take care of him because I know he must also be going through some things that
Yes.
he can't share with me because if he will share those things with me, then I will become depressed more.
You'll be
I'll-
affected.
I'll be affected. I'll be more anxious. So it's good that this is, and I hope this will be
Enforced properly,
Yes.
right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always the hope.
Yeah.
Dr. Cheryl,
It's okay.
can I still call you
Yes,
Cheryl? Cheryl,
I would prefer it.
when we talked about mental health last year, we were still full of hope about where they should be going because the conversation last year, one of the points there was that we didn't really take notice of the issue of mental health
Yeah,
before. I mean, the issue of mental health became more prominent only in recent years.
Yeah. I also heard of those comments now. People were saying, why all of a sudden the noise about mental health? Why
Yeah.
all of a sudden people coming out and talking about it? This is the new fad, no? And that alone is also stigmatized, no, the condition. When you say that this is a fad, mental health issues are never a fad, no?
Yes.
It's not a fad, but we are happy to know that people are coming out into open and speaking about this,
Yeah.
that they are gaining acceptance, no, from the public. While there are still some who do not or are not open to listen to this, but a lot of people are coming out and a lot of support are coming in. Like, for example, when you talk about the growing awareness of mental health, we now have a group. This is the well-being cluster. This is now being organized, and it is formed by different people from different organizations, private and government, and we come together with the hope of inculcating in the especially in the working area, where mental health is not really given given any
Attention, much attention.
And we are trying to have this program to be part of the HR in the cases of the well-being section, well-being section, because as of now there's no provision for it.
Yes.
But this law has a provision.
Yes,
on
that's
the
why.
promotion of
Yeah.
That's why Dr. Cheryl is happy.
I'm very happy with chapter 5.
Yes.
No? Chapter 5 saying education, promotion of mental health in educational institution and in the workplace.
In the
Yes.
workplace, absolutely. Yeah.
People will be protected, especially with the discrimination they experience. We have one respondent in Kauban. She actually texted her boss and said something like, I'm having a depressive episode. I wish to be excused from work today. Well, she was granted the leave, but the following day she knew that she became the talk of the office, saying that pwede di ay na kung di mo feel di na ka musod, something like that.
Because in the Philippines, we've always treated it playfully.
Yeah.
If you know that someone is suffering from a mental illness, you say either buang siya
Yes.
or nag-ino-era siya.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So those are usually the common
Yeah.
comments that we hear.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But now with the law,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
hopefully.
Rhea, you're pursuing your master's
Yes,
in this
clinical
area in
psych.
clinical
Nice.
psychology. What brought you to clinical psychology?
I'm actually working as a private behavior therapist for children with autism or ADHD. So at first, I just really thought that this is the best path for me to take in order to really practice my career. Since I've been working as a private behavior therapist for 7 years. But as I journeyed or as I continued to study, I realized that I really wanted to help other people, not just children, but specifically those who are also suffering with mental health issues. And when I came to Kauban, it just really, I guess, materialized, but everything just really
Yeah.
materialized that this is probably what I meant to do, I guess. Yeah.
Good for you. Sir, Jose,
Yes.
how did you find Kauban? How did you end up with Kauban?
Kauban is a lot of help. Before, I used to be a happy man. I am a band member, I am a drummer, I am an aircraft mechanic. But because of my illness,
Sergio has anxiety.
yeah.
General anxiety
Then
disorder.
through psychoeducation, I know how to deal with it. I learned techniques, lots of techniques, and now I'm a happy man. Then one last thing is, Kauban made me a better person than what I am before.
Katong before sa Kauban pa, sir? Sergio, what did you do to battle?
Grabe, agwang tarabig na ako. Like traffic, mo panic ko.
They cannot even go inside the elevator.
So you can't breathe.
Subway.
Subway.
And it's really true.
And at what point did you say, I need to talk to someone? Or I need to help myself?
Because I'm always during a week, maybe 3 times a week or 4. Permila kung mato sa ER in the middle of the night.
Ano sa imong ma-feel, sir?
Palpitations, shortness of breath, blurred vision, flashes, hot or cold. Ito kay ER, katawa na lang ko nila. Ang doktor na ko, nagresita siya na akong tamban. Akong gitanaw sa loyo. Anti-histamine and also anti-anxiety. That's the word nga akong gikuha ang anxiety, akong research sa internet.
Okay.
So
Pero did it help you? The
Yeah,
medication?
yeah.
Okay.
sleep lang, makatulog ko.
Okay.
Pero bad kayo kay murag ganahan na ka mong bangon pero patulugon gyapon ka.
Okay. Cheryl, how did you find Sergio? Or how did he find you?
How did he find me? He has this group, online group. They call themselves Cebu Anxiety and Depression Society. Support group. So that is an online.
Is it still active?
It's still active, and then they also found Kauban. So we merged, our groups merged the account, and then they came, so Sergio came, I think it was mid-December. So he came, and then he's one of the regulars. Every Friday he's there, and it was really very heartwarming to notice the changes. And he's telling us na, nakasakay na ko elevator karon. And then another week, nakaagin ako sa subway in Anavita because of the different techniques. We also teach them techniques. For example, panic attack, how do you counter it? What do you do? Okay, so there are some techniques that they apply.
Kato yung group, sir, the support group, you did not meet
Online sila.
personally, online recognition.
me. First meet ka to lang
December.
Yeah. The next day, kauban din.
Okay. By the way, there's also a group that's called Cebu Mental Health Alliance. This is actually a group of students. This is also a support group.
Okay.
We hope to be able to invite them in one of our conversations in the future, because now students are acknowledging that this is indeed a serious problem. Leah, you launched your book 2 weeks ago. Please tell us about this.
2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yes, this is my book. It's called Look to the Sky. It's a book that contains short poems about life, or specifically living life with depression. There are 3 chapters to the book. The first chapter would be the darker side of living with depression, and then the second and the third chapters are finding hope and love while living with depression. Writing this book, or writing the poems in this book, was one of my coping mechanisms when I was hit with a very bad depressive episode last year. In 2016, my daughter was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. She was just turning 18 that time, and because as a mom, you have to be strong. You have to be strong for your daughter. You don't attend to your needs. You attend to your daughter's needs first. So I never entertained any thoughts about being weak. Never. But last year on March, I lost my job. That was when it hit me. Okay, my job paid for my daughter's medication, my daughter's hospitalization, everything. So it hit me na, oh my God, unsaon na lang nila ako ron. Kaya wala na po kay dili makaya sa akong husband ang tanan galastuhan para sa akong anak. So that's when it hit me. And then I tried although I knew at that time na wala, na-depressed na ko, kaya lain ang yun kaya akong pamati, like di na ko ganahan mo bangon, ana, dili na ko ganahan na kanang makakita sa mga naon sa mga tao sa opisina, like, hindi pa render ko nila 1 month, wala na ko ni-render, kaya I don't wanna see them, kaya lahi na ang masot sa kong utok every time I see them. I tried to work pa jud for a month in another company, and that's when it went very badly for me. Okay, being very organized and a perfectionist, wala system sila. So ang hitabo, tawag. So that's when it started. Grabe jud kayo July last year. So I went to a psychologist from USC, and then went to a psychiatrist after. Okay, I was referred to a psychiatrist, and then I took medication. While I was taking my medication, I was going to open mic poetry readings. So, unsa may akong basahon dito kung ako'y masulat. So what happened was a cycle of writing and being inside the car because my husband won't leave me at home. So I was in the car, and then I noticed myself just looking at the sky every day. Then I noticed that the sky is very beautiful, and every day it changes. There's no same sky every day. Every moment, like as in wala jud. And then every day I kept taking pictures. Everywhere we went, I took pictures. That's when I realized, I am slowly, healing, or not really healing, but more of like I'm reaching out to other people. Okay, when I performed in open mics, I performed, I went home. Okay, and I didn't interact. Okay, I didn't like to talk to other people, man. I rarely talk to my husband, much less the other people. So I began to seek out other groups, and then in this group that I found, which is the Stray Poets, they were my saving grace actually. They had a different platform. It was not just a simple open mic, but we sat down and we discussed the poems that we wrote. And they were the ones who pushed me to have my book published. Instead of going for the novel that I first wanted to publish with them, with Chappie and the book swap Cebu. So they told me to go for my poems.
How many poems does this book contain?
I think it has 35.
This has, I think, 35 or 43 poems. And all of them will, like, if you're gonna read them, you can see the progression. You can see the healing. And I think that is very important among people with depression or anxiety or whatever mental health disorder. You just keep on going. With my book, I'm also giving away what you call this, bracelets with the semicolon, because I found this semicolon project story online, and I found it very touching. Although the founder of the semicolon project eventually committed suicide, but I still think it's still pertinent for us who are having difficulty going on.
What is a semicolon project?
The semicolon project was, I could not really remember her name.
It's Amy Bluewell.
It's also in our co-op.
Oh, I see.
Yes, it was
Okay.
started by Amy, and then it means your story isn't over.
Finished.
Amy's father died by suicide, and because of that, she was still young, and because of that, she created this organization she called Project Semicolon. And the explanation was so simple. She said that if a writer wants to continue, wants to end the sentence, the writer uses a period. When he wants to continue it, he uses a semicolon. And the underlying message there is your story isn't over yet. Keep going.
It's very nice.
That also inspired me, that Project Semicolon.
It was driven me.
But you were talking about the sad death of Amy Bluewell. I was also sad when I heard.
But then
But I think the underlying message there is
It
that
had a positive effect.
yeah, no matter how wounded you are, how you're going through something, but she was able to help a lot of people.
Yes.
Her story did not end with her death.
Yes.
Because apparently,
I have it. I also have a tattoo on my chest.
I have three tattoos with semicolons.
question, Leia, what did you feel each time you finished writing a poem?
While I was writing, every time I write, because I see my writing as an expression of how I'm feeling that day. It's like an unburdening. Because I didn't talk to a lot of people because I didn't want to be a burden. So what I did was in my writing, I poured out everything, my thoughts, my emotions. So it's like, it's my unburdening. All my poems are like my thought for that moment. It's like a cathartic expression of what I had, what I was going through at that precise moment. So when I started writing, I mean, because when I write, I don't know if in journalism, when we write, we base on facts.
Right, yeah.
But in writing poems, you base on your emotions. So
And that's what we're always told in journalism. We have to, the articles have to be devoid of emotions.
of
and
any
feelings.
emotions, because that will already be an editorial
Yes,
and not
yes.
a journalistic article. So what I did was, when I realized that I was starting to write poems that were hopeful, that's when I noticed, like, oh, I'm kind of like, I'm healing here. Because you won't know. You won't really know. It won't hit you immediately that you're healing. You just know that you're going through the same day, and then you're feeling apathetic about it all, and then you're depressed. But at that time, while I was still writing, I was in a mood where I was more apathetic, getting more apathetic all day, every day. And then when I started feeling again, you're starting to feel again, not the anger, but that spark of hope, even if it's just a little. And though sometimes it dies the same day, but it's just there. So I continued, and it was very helpful for me, writing.
Your book does not only contain text, but also photos, images.
Oh yes,
images that you yourself took, if I'm not mistaken.
I took images of the sky wherever I went. So I told Shopee that, are you okay with me?
Okay with you.
No. Are you okay if we're going to publish a full color book? Because I don't want my poems to just be printed on paper. I want it to be printed on my photos.
On your photos. Okay.
So I sent her. She was Shanghai because I gave her Shanghai. No, because unlike other writers, I was I'm very perfectionist. I'm very organized. I gave Chappie the draft. The draft is exactly how it looks right now.
Okay.
Except siguro
I can understand that.
It had a different cover.
Absolutely.
It had a different cover.
In the copyright page.
And then the copyright page, and then the acknowledgements. Everything was there, and so she just had to go through the pages and say, okay, let's do this. So it was very nice that they supported me. It was very good. Actually, it's very good. Although in the process of birthing that book, I also had to undergo several depressive episodes and anxiety episodes. So, but it's right here.
Okay, another question for you. We were covering the Justice Beat together.
Yes.
Right? I remember that. Did okay, because I'm curious, did journalism in any way
Contribute.
because the fact is, when you are in journalism and you work in media, you hear and read and look at almost bad things, negative stories, negative images, killings here and there.
I think so. I hope not.
When I look,
Now I'm afraid.
it was like this. I've always been depressive when I was younger, although it was undiagnosed because I committed my first attempt at suicide at 16.
Okay.
So I don't think that was maybe.
Might
I
have.
had
Yeah.
episodes that
Okay.
because I can recall when we were covering that we were covering the elections, and then there was that I think you will still remember that vehicular accident in Naga.
Okay.
It was election day,
Mhm.
and then there was that vehicular accident in Naga when the whole bus.
Yeah.
And then there was even that part where the mother was holding the child.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the what you call this, all the victims were brought to Vicente Soto,
Mm.
and the adults were placed in the ER, but the kids were placed on the hallway. I mean, on the floor of the hallway with no blankets, nothing. I broke down that night, and they had to let me go home.
Yeah, because with all these negative things that you encounter every day, if you're in journalism, this has an effect on you.
I may have had
Directly
episodes
or
then,
indirectly,
but
yeah.
I just did because we were very strong then. We had to be very strong.
You have to be, yeah.
So I am very good at stepping up when the circumstance calls for it.
Mm.
It's after.
Right, yeah.
It's after that when it hits me.
When we realize
When
we're
you
human
realize-
after all.
Yeah, yes. When your human is kind of like knocks you over,
Yeah.
that's when everything comes tumbling down.
But it's very nice that you're able to find something that allows you to cope
Yes.
with what you're experiencing. So Joe, before Kauban, how did you cope with depression,
Anxiety. Ako lang siya
anxiety?
Ako lang aguanta kay wala ko kibaw unsa akong buhaton o kibaw di o kibaw na unsa ko. Di ko talaga na gi-feel ra gyud ako ang tanan nga manifestation mga symptoms.
Mm.
Kung chest pain, vertigo. Ipang-feel ra gyud ako tanan. Ako ra gyud siyang gipangdala.
In those times nga, for example, you got stuck in traffic, kunya, nagpanic, what did you do?
Di hala ko sa akong motor. Aguanta ko lang gyud nako. Kaya ako naman is kaya na ko gahapon, the other day, kaya ako na ko ni karon.
Mm.
Ako na wala ko unsa.
Budget card motor, sir.
I have to kay angkas rider lang ko. Ang angkas wala ko sulti nga na ko anxiety kay di ko dawagan.
Pero karon ka ba na sila?
Karon.
They're aware now. Okay. Yeah, because when you are managing or manning public transport, it's also important for
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, the mental health law, for the benefit of those who might not have read the law yet, and we hope that everyone will, there are actually 6 objectives under the law. Number 1, it's to strengthen effective leadership and governance for mental health. And I like these words, effective leadership and governance for mental health by, among others, formulating, developing, and implementing national policies, strategies, programs, and regulations relating to mental health. So these are specific, very specific. And then number 2, develop and establish a comprehensive, integrated, effective, and efficient national mental health care system, which we don't have yet, if I'm not mistaken, that is responsive to the psychiatric, neurologic, and psychosocial needs of the Filipino people. Number 3, protect the rights and freedoms of persons with psychiatric, neurologic, and psychosocial health needs. Strengthen information systems, evidence, and research for mental health. I also like this, us in the academy like this one. Integrate mental health care in the basic health services. The keywords there being basic health services. In other words, whenever you go, wherever you go, government facility, they must be able to provide you with this service. And then integrate strategies promoting mental health in educational institutions, the workplace, and in communities. So let's underline educational institutions,
and workplace.
the workplace, and communities. Okay, let's talk about the provision that you like most, Cheryl. Educational institutions.
Yeah.
Because many of those who have committed suicide are actually students. Yeah.
And very little, no? Not all schools really understand, or if not cater to word mental health. I gave a talk to one school in Mandaue, and the teacher herself was saying this is the first time that I heard of mental health, and a lot of cases have already happened in that school. So
Suicide cases?
yes, suicide cases, completed suicide,
Wow.
in that school, and it is really sad to note, that how progressive the school is, and they don't really talk about mental health. And she was saying that maybe we can invite you some more or in another.
This is what level? High school?
High school, senior
Okay.
high. Yeah. And then I'm very hopeful with this, especially that it is now a law and the school will be implementing this. Actually, before coming here, I asked some admin in the school, and I asked them, about the mental health law. Does it have any implication to our curriculum?
Right.
And
yeah.
then the answer is yes. So meaning to say,
That's good news.
it's a good news that we will be implementing it, and we will be providing programs, most especially helpful to our students, not only students but also the
Teachers.
employees. Actually, in Kauban, we were told to have this report, the different cases, and to give a profile to the admin, and this will be a basis for a program for the worker, because they were saying that if it is happening outside USC, it is also possible that it is also happening inside, the person of USC.
Correct. Ria, what do you think of this special mention of academic educational institutions?
I was really happy about that because also with my work, and I was also planning to really work in an institution, and I would just like to share my experience. I was interviewed by a particular school, and they were asking me, what can you contribute to our school? And I was saying, I'm an advocate of mental health, so I can probably give talks and things like that. And then the one who interviewed me was saying, parang I'm not sure if how she felt about that, but she said that with the millennial age, probably that would be necessary, but I'm not very sure if ano yung kuan niya about it, but I'm really happy that since it's a law, it's gonna be mandated, so it's gonna be really part of the curriculum. So the schools can choose to not include it, especially in their guidance office. So the guidance office will not just be a guidance office na lang na murang kids will just go to tambay lang ba. So they're gonna have a purpose na yun to really.
Well, schools can always ignore, but they'll get into trouble.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The chat is also mentioned, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it has a very big impact, especially on disseminating information regarding mental health.
Right. Attorney, what caught your attention?
Well, just to add to what Dr. Andrea said about suicide prevention, there is a particular provision under mental health services on suicide prevention. Not a lot. We don't have. I don't know if we have current statistics about perfected suicide, but at least in 2012, there's an average of 7 suicides every single day. So it might have doubled to this time.
This is where?
In the Philippines.
In the Philippines,
Since
okay.
The statistics for 2012, an average of 7 suicides every single day. That is scary, right?
Scary, yeah.
When you look at this room, we're already 7. But anyway, so this piece of legislation is also talking about suicide prevention, and there is in fact a 24/7 hotline that will provide assistance to individuals with mental health conditions, especially individuals at risk of committing suicide. So this is found in section 21 under mental health services. And the section before that, prior to that, this is also something that caught my attention. It is the policy of the state to treat drug dependency as a mental health issue. So the way we have been coping with drug dependency, it was through violence, right? But it's acknowledging the fact that drug dependency is a mental health issue. somebody said that drug addicts are beyond rehabilitation and redemption, and this is actually encouraging. It's very encouraging, in fact, to those who are drug dependents. They can actually go to healthcare facilities and really seek for this kind of service. And so there is no more discrimination, supposedly no more discrimination for them on this regard.
To add also to Cheryl's sentiment earlier, actually chapter 4, mental health services in the laws, is very specific. Every local government unit and academic institution shall create their own program in accordance with the general guidelines set by the Philippine Council for Mental Health created at this time. So we can actually hold them accountable if they don't have any. If they don't have any,
Take note of that.
And then when you look at it, it also really is in cooperation with the DOH and the health workers. Because you cannot get, you cannot do so many things without really going back to the groups at the grassroots level, which is the barangay. And they must be equipped. So one of the things that this law is trying to provide, not only to equip the personnel with the qualifications, but also expanding the infrastructure of hospitals, of clinics. That's why in the same chapter you would have here a provision which would require the LGUs to expand their infrastructure, to equip the hospitals.
It's the first. It's the first in section 15.
These can accommodate those mental health users.
That's right. Actually, responsive mental health services at the community level. Responsive primary mental health services shall be developed and integrated as part of the basic health services at the appropriate level of care, particularly at the city, municipal, and barangay level, with standards set by DOH. And speaking of DOH and funds, Section 16 also says the national government through the DOH shall fund the establishment and assist in the operation of community-based mental health care facilities in the provinces, cities, and cluster of municipalities in the entire country.
What I also really like about this law is it's trying to also make PhilHealth a partner.
Exactly.
So it's really extending the services. So prior to the enactment of this law, PhilHealth would only cover hospitalization due to acute attacks of mental behavioral disorders, and the insurance package is only 7,800. But with this, particularly in chapter 7, it says that it will coordinate with the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation to ensure that insurance packages equivalent to those covering physical disorders of comparable impact to the patient as measured by disability adjusted life year or other methodologies are available to patients affected by mental health conditions.
That's nice.
Because that might change also the policies of insurance, medical insurance.
Exactly. Insurance coverage.
Because in medical insurance companies, they don't cover psychiatric.
There are many illnesses they don't cover. What do they call special pre-existing conditions?
Pre-existing conditions
are not normally covered by insurance companies. Check. You were saying something earlier.
No, I just like to point out about the 24/7 hotline, suicide hotline. We have that here in Cebu. We call that Tawag Paglaong, and it is run by the Soto, Vicente Soto, and is being sponsored by the DOH.
Is it any good?
Sorry, I cannot answer for them, but
what's the number?
The number is 0939 937 5433.
You can perhaps post that?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
I'll just give this to you, Joe Bird.
Yes, please. So again, we would like to repeat 0939 937 5433.
We also have, I think this is Globe, 0927 654 1629.
So if you feel something that, if you feel the need to talk to someone.
Yes. I think they are trained how to respond to this specific condition. Suicidal people. So they are open 24/7. Yes.
Yes, attorney. Yes, go ahead.
I was just
I
pointing
invite
out
you to go
the provision, which is section 38, upgrading of local hospitals and healthcare
That is very
facilities.
important.
It's very important.
And I spoke to several friends before going live today, and one of them I spoke to is a government employee. Would like to say hi to Ferliza Contratista, who also suffered anxiety and depression, who also went through those challenges. And she said that even in government offices are not very much aware
Yes.
and keen on the illness.
Right.
Okay. Her experience, I can no longer focus, sige ko kasayop, and there are moments, labi na after her father died, that and the brutal death of her son,
Yes.
only, that sige siya,
Contributed to
contributed to the depression, but sige siya pamurog, and all those things. And I think that with this law in place, our public offices, government offices should be able to put something in place as well to make sure that this is implemented, enforced properly. Go ahead, attorney. Oh, okay. There's a comment from Mary Ann Espinosa. With the Mental Health Act, government institutions, most especially government rehab agencies, will be able to give more focus and importance to providing effective and efficient delivery of services, most especially to their clients with mental conditions. Yeah, good point to make, Mary Ann. And this is actually our hope, that they would actually be able to provide effective and efficient delivery. I think that's always the problem. In most cases, we have so many laws in place, but as far as implementation is concerned, sustainability, consistency of services is concerned, that's always the problem and the challenge. Share.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Ann. She's actually a Kauban volunteer.
Hello.
Oh.
Hi, Mary Ann. She's watching, definitely.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
If you have more questions and comments, you can always write them down in the comment section. Okay. So where do you think we're going with a new law now in place as far as mental health is concerned in the Philippines?
It is my hope that with the law also, I'd like to point out the prices of the medication and the psychiatric fees. So I hope with this law that they can provide more affordable services and medication to.
Now that government plays a vital role, because before this one, it has always been private institutions, private doctors.
Although there are actually institutions right now that are offering
Free medications.
not free medication, but medyo affordable na consultation fee. I'd like to call out the Metro Psych facility in Mandaue, sa Bangka, Mandaue. Their consultation fee is only 500. So if you're really in need of someone to talk to, like a real, a professional, a psychiatrist, they have psychiatrists there, and then they can, of course, prescribe you with medication. Except that, of course, the medication, when you go to the drugstore, you're gonna find that one medication would cost you almost 200. So with the law, I hope that we're going to have access to more affordable medication, because that will be the problem for a lot of us who cannot afford the very expensive medication that are not available in the market.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if not affordable, then free
Fingers crossed.
medication.
Fingers crossed.
And support to those who are suffering.
Yeah, because they have been providing free medications in the centers, and then we just need to come up with the requirements, and then we are given free medications. So hopefully they can also provide us with this.
For the benefit of our viewers, what does a patient need to present to be able to avail of those free medications?
I really have no idea. Sorry, how the requirements from the DOH, I have no idea yet, but I know it's a bit it is full, no?
Oh, okay.
A bit,
Yeah.
But we just need to be patient in producing those requirements for you to be able to get free medication. I don't know the list yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a question. If you know of it, They told us, I was informed by someone in Manila support group that we can get a PWD card for this one.
Okay.
Yes, but I was wondering where to get it because there was one time really when I was thinking about getting one when my anxiety was very bad because one of the things that you can avail the parking space. I hated going inside malls because it's crowded and I get anxious. Yeah, I get anxious all the time. I don't want to be in a place where it's very crowded, so I want to get out. Pero layo pa yung car, then nag-group na ka. Kanina na gani. So,
Okay.
kaya ang mao nga, wala ko sa hibaw. Mao na ako, wala sa
Yeah. Hopefully our friends from the Department of Health.
I think you can get that from the barangay, ma'am, because my line before had autism, and we also had to get a card for him for PWD card. So you have to go to the barangay.
Yeah, okay. You will only need cigarette. Don't know the letter from your doctor that you suffer from this.
That is a good question to point out there.
And
If anyone knows watching us who can answer that, who knows where a PWD card needs to be processed and procured, then please leave information in the comment section. Yeah, it should be the LG should be able to provide.
But I haven't heard when LG ni-apply ba nga
Yeah,
siya
yes.
yung psychological
Okay.
concern. But
One-
with PWD, they can get
There's a stigma man good for
Yeah.
surrounding that. So you're not a lot will go and get a PWD card and say, I'm going to get a PWD card
Because I'm depressed.
I'm depressed.
Yeah.
They're gonna laugh at your face and tell you na, sure ka ni ha? Ana,
At least now with the law.
Actually,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
before the law was enacted, the PWD card was already
Still, yeah, it
available.
was
Because of
included on
because
It's
of the
Magna
Magna
Carta.
Carta.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
because of the
Magna
Magna Carta.
Carta.
But unfortunately, not a lot of us were able to, or are
We're not even aware.
are aware of
Because
this,
actually, yeah.
or
They can avail of
that they can avail of that, or are willing to go and face the possible ridicule that you're gonna get if you're gonna.
That's true. That's true. Cheryl, what's your hope with the
Well,
law in place?
I'm really happy with the law in place, but my take is that now we have been campaigning mental health awareness, and now it's now in place. But my hope really is it's not really enough that it is there, but I'm hoping that it will be implemented, and that the school will really subscribe with the law and awareness, and knowing the provisions of the law is not enough. But the product of awareness is what I'm hoping for, and that is the change. Right. So awareness is nothing if there's no change.
Sir Joe,
Yes.
Nante Balaod, what do you hope to happen?
Mga pag-implement, gusto ko maayong tao. Tinunaan na yun nga implementasyon kaysa magpanday lang po laot niya. Wala na din.
Yes, and I'll go ahead, sir, please.
Importante kayo.
Rhea.
My hope with the passage of the law is that people in general would really change their view of mental health, that it's not just made up, it's real, and you can get help if ever you experience something like mental health issues. So
Very
that's
nice
really my
point.
hope.
Mental health is a real issue.
Yes,
It's
'cause
not made up, di na siya
Yes.
in-OA.
Some people would think that it's a millennial thing.
Yes.
So I hope that
It's a fad.
Yeah, it's a fad. Uso lang siya, especially with all the suicide from prominent people.
Being a member of the millennial generation,
Yes.
where do you think that came from? That notion.
I actually heard a comment. I'm just not gonna mention the name.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was applying for a job, and an interviewer said that to me, that it's a millennial daw na karon or issue gani. So I hope that everybody would really treat it seriously and not just think that it's FB also.
Social media.
Yeah,
I'm sure
social
it
media, it's
has
really
something to
like,
do with
it has something to do with it, the change in how we communicate. So that's really my hope that the law would really place it, but it's really real. It's not just made up.
Okay, we were talking about the PWD card earlier. There's a comment from Red Yumang. Red said, yes, we have a member in Cebu Anxiety and Depression Support Group who got a PWD card. They will require you to submit a doctor's diagnosis. So at the minimum, at the minimum, you must have a doctor's diagnosis to be able to. Red, if you can comment where we can avail the card, that will be very helpful. Perhaps the LGU, most likely. We also have a comment from Ruth Ciel. Mayor Fernando Rochelle. Proud of the Oban.
She's actually also a student of this.
Yes.
I see. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Yes, Ma'am Grace, do we have more comments? Okay. Okay, there's another point to make. Mark Oano is saying that this is actually a spiritual problem. There's also a spiritual component in this. So you deal with it with God's word.
Yes.
Yeah, and this can also be a form of a coping mechanism, if you may.
Actually, when we deal with depression or any mental health disorder, we don't really say that this is the best way of dealing with it. This is the best method. What works for you may work for you, but we don't really impose it to other people.
Yeah, correct.
Because what may be good to others may not be good for you, but we just listen and we do share. Now in our group, we share what we did that helped us in our symptoms, but we don't impose on each other. Yeah.
That's very nice. So this is definitely a continuing conversation. We can only hope to extend this in the next 5 hours, but Mom Grace will not allow that. But we will be talking about this definitely a lot more. So thank you very much to all of you, Leah, Attorney Charisse, Dr. She, Sir Joe, and Rhea. Thank you very much for being here today. And we have the mental health law in place. We would urge everyone to read the law for us to be aware of what we need to know about mental health, as well as the responsibilities that each one of us should have and the government must fulfill to be able to put provisions in place. We can only hope for more efficient enforcement of this legislation, and they're establishing putting in place the implementing rules and regulations, so definitely
which will be 120 days after.
Yes, after the passage of the law. So we thank our legislators who took the effort in proposing for the passage of this law, and the president also for supporting this one.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, do we have a comment? I think we still have a comment there. No pressure from Grace. We can only thank everyone for joining us today. This is an indication that everyone wants to be involved, and that's nice.
Yes.
Quick question though, if you're suffering from mental illness, anxiety, depression, does posting your feelings on social media help? Or does that even something that you recommend or discourage?
What works for her works for her.
Okay.
Sometimes it becomes a coping mechanism. They post it because they felt relieved, and then they also felt, for example, other people will talk to them. Yeah. So again, going back to our position that whatever works for the person works for her. So we cannot say it's not good or it's not good, but then if it's helping her, then go on.
I think the underlying of that is communicating your feelings to somebody, making yourself heard to somebody, because it's different if you just keep it to yourself. You go crazier. But if you open that communication with somebody who may be able to relate or can help you with your condition, that's already a big factor of your coping.
Yeah, I also heard this comment in posting in FB that personal problem should not be posted because personal problem merits personal solution. But my take on that is that some people really have no outlet, just posting it and then sharing their feelings. So we just let them be. If you don't like to read what they're posting, then we just unfollow them.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
There are others though who post something. Like I recently saw a post of a girl hurting herself by using a razor, but she was self-harm, but she was making it as if like it's for just the
Fun.
fad or for fun. So that posts like that are supposed to be not, you know, I mean, if only FB has a stricter policy on stuff like that, because it will
Maybe taken out of context. Yeah.
taken out of context and it, you know, it provides a misunderstanding.
That's
Of the
true.
issue,
It can
yeah.
also encourage, no?
Yeah.
And it can
Others.
encourage other
That's true.
youngsters to do
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think, again, we'd like to emphasize that this is a serious issue.
Yes, it
So
is.
we must not make it a fad. That's exactly what we're preventing. We don't play around with something as
Yes.
serious as mental health. Precisely that we are despising any notion that this is just an innowing
Yes.
or a factor. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, thank you very much for being here. Leah,
Thank
Shout
you
out
for
to
having
Joe.
us.
And Rhea, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your thoughts. And again, I think this is a collective hope for us that this law will definitely make things better for everyone. We'd like to end this episode of the Freeman Conversations with a poem from your book. Where can they get your book, by the way?
They can PM me
Yes.
or
Yeah.
because it's not available in bookstores
Not
Not yet?
or
Okay.
online, but
Yeah.
they can
But they
PM
can find
me.
you also on your
But they can find me online. My name online is Lea May Lim Atienza.
Yeah.
Or they can go to my Facebook page for Look to the Sky. It's Lea May Lim Atienza, Look to the Sky.
And then Litmus, are you gonna?
Oh yes, you can
On
also
the fest?
find me on Cebu Literary Festival's Comiket this July 21 and 22. We'll be selling books there in Ayala.
Yes, once again. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'd like to end this episode with this poem by Leah. Let's stand together, you and I, under a mantle of blue skies. Let's hold hands and fly together. Let's chase each day's sunrise. Thank you all for joining us today, and we hope you will continue to be part of the conversation. I'm Jobert Ocao, the online editor of the Freeman. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time here on the Freeman Conversations.